the 3 types of customers that you will meet on cam, and the only 3. The first line in the sand that I like to draw is, when I say customer, I mean individual that spends money on the model, on you. Anyone who has not spent money on you, I don't refer to as a customer. I would never disrespect customers in that way. Those are users at best, users on the site. And so that's how I use those 2 terms. And I mean, if you watch my other stuff, you'll see me use them all the time. Customers means they're spending money on you. Users is everyone else. So even if they have a VIP account on the site, if they're not involved with you, for all intents and purposes, they're not your customer. They're not a customer to you. They're someone else's customer. Everyone's someone's customer. You know, I'm Starbucks customer some days. That doesn't really do anything for insert other coffee company name, Dunkin' Donuts. Got it. So yeah. Customer, they're spending money on you. So the 3 types of customers. There's an infinite variety of users. Who cares about them? The 3 types of customers. And this is a very clear hierarchy where the first one I'm going to mention are the bottom of the barrel. And if you're a customer and you hear this description and you go, that sounds a lot like what I do. This is how, not just how we view you, but how you genuinely, objectively are in the universe. So the first level is barbarians. That's what I call them. I hope we can throw some graphics in here. This is barbarians. Barbarian customers are the most voluminous customers of the site, meaning there's the most of them. A lot of people on a lot of campsites are barbarians. And I say this half with some love and half with some notable apprehension. I read Mongolian history. I know how barbarians and Mongols. I was talking about the Mongol Genghis Khan. Anyways, not that Mongolian people are barbarians now. Gonna get a lot of letters. So the common attributes of a barbarian would be they want to get the absolute most value, let's say, for the dollar spent, right? They're looking for the best deals from a camp model. And it's really not just a consumer price consciousness thing. It's more of, I think it's a deeper philosophy that a lot of them have. But it goes along the line of that, they should get everything they possibly can from you for the least amount of money. That they should ask, that they will just kind of ask the most out of you beyond that. So one, trying to get everything they can, but 2, trying to make you do as much as they possibly can for it. And there's, some of this is cultural for sure. And I'm hesitant to state that, but it's just, we've seen enough of the trends to where it's somewhat undeniable. So I don't want to make it like a racial or issue or anything like that, but like there are cultures outside of America, let's say, in different parts of the world where any transaction that's happening with money is a sort of a barter negotiating transaction, right? If you go to a market in, I live in Bangkok here, so if you go to a market in Bangkok, that's plenty common of how much is this apple. Okay, I'll get 6 apples, I'll do for less than that. But it's a lot more prominent in if you go to Hyderabad or something like that, a market there. It's just, that's how the culture transacts. It's a back and forth thing. Whether that's good or bad, I have no statement about that. But on cam, you don't like that. We're in a different thing. We're not selling agricultural products. And that's not to say that customers from India are cheap. We love customers from India, any of those things. Just that you can feel the cultural differences on foot for free on any campsite because there are customers coming from all over the world. and you're interacting with them. And so you're getting a snapshot into how people talk everywhere. But by the way, the most barbarian customers that we see come from America. And as is always the case. So the barbarian customers aren't inherently bad. But I would say that like you need to like be on guard against them in some way, and that know that they're going to try and take advantage of you. They're going to try and maximize their spending in terms of what they're getting out of you for it, and know that that's kind of not the most fun thing to have long term. So, a quick rap sheet of how to handle barbarian customers. Using things like party chats, where you're getting a lot of people to spend for something, can work a little better for them. Or doing, group shows where everyone's spending a little bit less. Like that allows you to, maintain your hourly rate and get more spending from the people who won't spend as much money. For like a lot of models, that's a big part of what they're doing. So we don't necessarily want to disdain the money that's spent for barbarians, because hundreds of them can be impactful. And so this is more about entertaining an audience. It's more being on the stage and performing. Take all of those alliterations of a musician, of a juggler, any stage performance. That's how you handle the barbarians. Treat them all like one big crowd, and try and get them to be entertained and excited and to spend money, and manage it that way. So that's all I have to say about barbarians, the lowest form of customer existence. Second level, just civilized customers, and these are the lot better than barbarians. So a civilized customer, the way you can tell how they are is like you won't get the sense from them that they're trying to get the most out of you that they can for the least amount of money. And so one of the key differences between like a civilized and barbarian customer would be, are they asking you to do sexual things in public chat? A lot of civilized customers would be off-put by that. And barbarian customers are totally fine with that. A civilized customer tends to want to prefer that sort of activity in a private show. Which, by the way, if you want the secret of like how we have such high like sales per hour per model at Pandora, it's just that like so many of the campsites that exist only understand barbarian customers, and everything is set up to be a public spectacle. You can do things with that audience to make it work, but like there's so much more spending that will come on a per user basis if you understand how to make the one-on-one connections. That's the basis of our philosophy. So civilized customers, they're preferring the one-on-one. When they start a private show, they're not necessarily, rushing to get you. They're not watching the clock and they're counting down and trying to be like, okay, we have 6 minutes. Make this the most amazing experience of my life in 6 minutes. They'll spend time. They'll get to know you. Like they have all those attributes of someone who's not the worst. And so I would advise to anyone that if you can arrange the way you're doing things to make yourself more appealing to civilized customers, this almost sounds condescending to say, but think of it, more appealing to those customers who will spend more time, then you're on a good track. And so I mention that because the way I can tell a lot about a model situation. But both directions. I can tell what someone's going to describe customers to me as by looking at their stats pretty accurately. And I can also, if someone's describing how their customers are to me, I can look at their stats and go, yeah, I understand that. So if we look at your stats and your last 100 customers that spent money, the average spending on them was $4, and there was no one that spent more than $20, then okay, you're in a situation where you have a lot of customers spending a little amount of money. They're almost certainly all trying to get the most out of you for the least. That sucks. If we look at your last 100 customers and there's a bunch of those 4, but there's like 6 of the last 100 spent over $500 on you, your views on customers are a little different because there's always people tipping small amounts and stuff. But like you having big customers who are spending a significant amount for an experience with you, if you have those peppered in at any degree, your outlook changes completely on camming. Like, it's a lot nicer. It's just you become a nicer person. Camming is more positive seeming. Just the outlook changes because you go, oh. And also, I mean, when you're having that, you're starting to interact with people who are more affluent as people, and you're spending more time with them. So if you're spending 2 hours talking to someone in a private show, and they're telling you about their life, and you're telling them about your life and your background and stuff, like, that's not a hard show to do. That's not something that, like, that's a joy to do in any context. For most people, to get paid to do it is really cool. And the customer's thrilled to be doing it. Like, it's just, those situations are awesome. And so it's this weird thing where the best types of shows, profit-wise, where the most money is made, what will put the most money into your bank account, has a really strong correlation to shows that don't suck, that you would actually enjoy having those interactions. Or certainly, you'd enjoy more than most other types of shows. I don't think anyone really likes, customer after customer after customer saying, you're not worth this amount of money, let me pay you 10% that amount, and have you do an even more hardcore show than you otherwise would have. No one really enjoys having that happen all the time. For someone to look at you and value you and go, I want to spend time with you, and to just start the clock and have that running and not be worried about it and just say, let's have an experience, that is nice to have happen. And so everything we talk about with customers is like, I don't have any great tricks for getting more money out of Barbarian customers, but like, we have a lot of great tricks about how to discover, like, what we're calling civilized customers. And I know how classist and everything that sounds, but that's just totally how the site works. By the way, I'm taking these words, not that I made them up, I'm getting them from customers on the sites. There's a war among these groups on campsites, and so civilized customers absolutely hate barbarians. They look at you and they go, you're great and wonderful and amazing and a superstar and deserve respect and money and everything. And when they see people coming at you going, just being degrading towards you and saying rude things or speaking to you in a way that doesn't convey how they feel you should be treated, those customers get uncomfortable. They don't like it. They don't like those people. They're scumbags, and they shouldn't be here. And so there's always a class-based war on the side of civilized customers versus barbarians. And like, while I'm cool with everyone, I'm acutely aware that civilized customers are more affluent and spend more money on the sites, and so I only care about them. I don't care about anyone else, and I want those customers to be happy and cherished and respected and loved and honored and to enjoy every second they spend on the site. And I really don't care if all the barbarians die. That's just how a business analyzes things. Like, I'm not worried about retaining those users because there's really nothing I can do. They will stay and they will go. They'll move from site to site. Like, they're just gonna do whatever they're gonna do. It can't really, control that mass that well. But while those millions filter around spending pennies, we've built, this network of thousands of customers who are wealthy, affluent users, customers that spend a lot of money, have a lot of good times, and like models enjoy interacting with. And so, civilized customers. The third type that we use, because civilized customers can mean a lot of things. Civilized doesn't necessarily mean they're spending a ton of money. It really is more about how they behave on the site. And so whether they're doing long shows or short shows, regular or infrequently, a civilized customer might want to hang out in your room a lot, but they'll say, hey, I can only do a private show this frequently, or I can only tip this much in like a week or something. And so I still want to hang out with you, but like if I won't type and stuff if it's bothering you or if you're distracted or something. Those types of customers who like are being respectful of your time and what you're trying to do are who we're calling civilized. No, barbarians pretend to be civilized. Civilized can act as barbarians. It's a whole thing. But anyways, so the third level is what we just call wealthy civilized customers. And so when we're talking internally, we kind of say price insensitive affluent customers. So these are people who have a lot more money than most people do in the world. We're looking at net worths of $1 million plus that are users on the site. And the experience they tend to have is very different. Not that everyone with $1 million or more is spending an insane amount of money all the time, but that you see in that group a lot more just kind of carefree spending. Someone who's making $50,000 a month or more, to spend $5,000 to $10,000 on something that they're doing for entertainment just isn't that crazy to them. And some people get into it and like it, and it becomes their hobby and the thing they do on a regular basis, and they spend a lot of money. And so there's a difference between, the main difference to me between the price insensitive customers and just normal okay customers is the capacity that they have to indulge. And so when we see crazy things happening in camping, it's always coming from this. It's always someone who has significant financial capabilities. And so if they find you on cam and they're just obsessed with you, what they will do potentially is it's just hard to predict. And so we've seen customers spend $1 million in a year on a single model on the site. Almost every year that happens at least once. And so that's cool, but like for that, there's a lot more that are a lot lower than that, but still really significant amounts of spending. And so that's the game that we kind of play, is like, how do we find more of those? Because once you, like for a model, once you get that relationship started, it tends to be a very long-term relationship. Whether it's an everyday thing or a few times a month thing, they tend to have a lot more follow-on spending, long-term relationships. The ease of which you get money from that is a lot lower than all the other versions. They're just the ideal clients to have are, wealthy, lonely guys, for guys and girls. And so those two customer types are where we spend all of our time thinking of. So like, what do they want? What are they coming to the site for? How do they feel about things? What do they value? What experiences do they want to have? What excites them? Where are they? These are all the sorts of things that we're thinking about a lot and trying to position our models to be favored by those customers. And so when we talk to people about their setup and how to perform and things like that, we're talking to them about these people, and we're like, okay, these are kind of the customers that you're going to experience when you're on cam. So you have this group, and you have this group, and you have this group. You can, here's what it takes to win this group, here's what it takes to win this group, here's what it takes to win this group. And like Barbarians, sort of more of just a sexually aggressive forward stage performance type of approach. Civilized and multi-civilized, it's the same things, except multi-civilized, you just have to be prepared to go a lot further. Like the emotional engagement and attachment that happens in really long-term, regular show occurring relationships, it's a lot higher. It's higher stakes. People aren't spending $1 million for nothing. Like, they're spending it because it's making them feel something, feel alive in some way. And so what is it that's doing that? Fascinating thing to talk about and get into. Not really much I can say publicly about that. I don't have any. Everyone's different. And yeah, it becomes a lot. And so, there are people who are in situations where they're like, well, even if I wanted it, I don't have the free time to manage that serious of a relationship with, a customer on a campsite. Okay. And a lot of people, that conversation never comes up because the situation of your life just means you're never really in that situation where that comes up. The people who have that come up are online a lot. And so if you're online now and then, it's likely you don't meet those people ever. Besides just chance encounters and stuff like that. But for the rest of them, at the end of the day, what I think wins civilized customers is thinking about them, caring about how they feel about things, respecting them, and making deals that they like, right? So what do you want, customer? And if they say, what I want is this, and you go, cool, I'm into that, and I'll deliver it in a nice way for you. And they'll go, okay. A lot of them are that simple. the ones where we end up seeing the most exciting things, it's more complicated, but it's more complicated in that if you say, what do you want? The answer is, I don't have any idea what I want. I just want to feel something. And you go, okay, cool. Can you provoke that out of people? Can you like connect with people's inner animals or inner, spirit animals, guru, like, I don't know, whatever. Their dark passenger, if it's that. Can you make a connection there that excites them? And like tease that out into like consciousness. That's what we're doing. And so if you can do that, you win.